Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to discuss the top 10 construction ERP systems in 2025. Let's go.
Growing a business requires a holistic approach that extends beyond sales and marketing. This approach needs alignment among people, processes, and technologies. So if you're a business owner, operations, or finance leader looking to learn growth strategies from your peers and competitors, you're tuned into the right podcast. Welcome to the WBS Podcast, where scalable growth using business systems is our number one priority. Now, here is your host, Sam Gupta.
Quickly about me, Sam Gupta, principal at Elevate IQ. Elevate IQ is the independent vendor agnostic consulting analyst advisory firm. On that note, let's go back to today's topic, which is the top 10 construction ERP systems in 2025. Before we look at the list, we will discuss some of the variables that we are going to touch when we review every system on this list. So some variables to keep in mind is that this is the list of the ERP products and not necessarily of the vendors. Sometimes things get conflated with respect to the products and vendors, but this is for the products. This would include companies of all sizes and industries. So if you are going to be small, the list might not be as specific to you. But not only you need to pay attention to the commentary, we are going to include a link for the report that is going to have much deeper details in terms of how to read these quadrants, how to read and how to select the right system for your company size. Again, we are not going to discuss every single detail because that could be a project in itself, but this is going to give you enough to be able to find whichever systems you might want to select. So that's why you need to download the report to be able to understand the quadrants, to be able to understand all of these variables. So these are going to be companies of all sizes as well as industries. If these industries are touching construction in any shape or form, they are probably going to be part of this list. So then the other layer that you have overall from the construction business model perspective is that construction companies generally have some flavors of real estate as well as field service. And some systems are designed only for construction centric processes. They might not be able to accommodate field service. They might require add-on, and sometimes those add-ons could be tricky to work with just because field services could be a very intertwined component for your construction ERP. So, depending upon the business processes, depending upon transactions, sometimes that could be a risk. So, pay attention to that. Real estate is a very tricky beast as well. In most cases, a lot of ERP systems are not necessarily going to have really deep real estate processes. So, if you are deeply intertwined with real estate business model as well, then your selection strategy is going to be very different. Now, the other variable to keep in mind is big jobs versus small jobs. The systems designed for big jobs are very different than your smaller jobs. So some of the systems are, the smaller ones are going to be doing very small jobs such as your paint, etc. If they are doing that, then they will not like the systems designed for bigger jobs. And bigger jobs are going to be, let's say, if you're building dam or you are building a building. If that is the case, then those systems are going to be very different. The other things to keep in mind is the engineering firms have very different process than your general contractors, than your subcon. So these three different business models. And now if you have all of those processes as part of your business model, then you have further complications. Developer versus property maintenance is another layer that we generally find. And then you're also going to find, let's say, not-for-profit flavors at times with some of these companies. So these are some of the layers that you need to keep in mind, and that we will be discussing as we go through the list. Criteria that we have used to compile this list is product share, acquisition strategy, focused on construction ERP, product roadmap, community, ecosystem, win rate, technology strategy, as well as the investors. So these are some of the factors that we generally consider to compile this list. So now let's look at the list. Number 10 on our list is viewpoint. And viewpoint is ideal for smaller construction companies that would care for slightly more operational capabilities as opposed to the core ERP layers, especially if you are not going to have as much global footprint, etc. You are going to be limited on your budget, then Viewpoint could be a great system. The strengths to keep in mind is the core operational capabilities are going to be far richer, and um, it is backed by one of the large software houses, from Trimble, and that's a big deal in general. So at least financial backing is not going to be a problem, and proven and known among construction companies. So that's a huge plus. Limitations to keep in mind is weaker ERP layers for larger global operations and not a fit for diverse operations. As well as talent and ecosystem is going to be limited as well. So those are some of the limitations, and that's number 10. Number 9 on our list is Uninet. And Uninet is ideal for architecture and engineering firms. Primarily, Uninet, where we have seen is they do really well in spaces where companies require project management capabilities. But they also have capabilities for the architecture as well as engineering firms. The kind of add-ons that they are going to have are going to be flavored towards that as well. Traditionally, they were used alongside other ERP systems, for example, SAP, etc., for their operational capabilities. But I think now they have the ERP capabilities as well as part of their product. So that's going to be a plus with Uninet. The strengths to keep in mind is number one, the technology is really good. They are cloud native, so that's a huge plus. Ecosystem and integrations relevant to architecture as well as engineering firms, so that's another plus. Decent market share among architecture and engineering firms, so that's another plus as well. Limitations to keep in mind is weaker ERP layers for global operations, as well as not a fit for diverse operations, and talent and ecosystem is going to be limited as well. So those are some of the limitations, and that's number 9. Number 8 on our list is SAP S4 HANA. And SAP S4 HANA is going to be much bigger system compared to your Viewpoint, Uninet. For the most part, SAP S4 HANA will be fit for upper mid-market, larger companies. They are going to have slightly scaled down version for the mid-market companies as well. But then you would require a lot more IT maturity, as well as the implementation budget to be able to implement that, just because you are going to require a lot more add-ons in general. These capabilities might be pre-packaged, pre-integrated, pre-built as part of the suite itself. So those are some of the things to keep in mind, but depending upon what your priorities are. If your priorities are going to be to find a system that is going to be global, is going to support global localization, you have many different business models that you need to accommodate as part of one ERP system. If that is the case, then SAP S4HANA is probably going to be a better fit overall from the product alignment perspective. The strengths to keep in mind is that it has been proven for very large workloads, one of the most proven product on this list. So that's a huge plus for SAP S4HANA, best of breed architecture for construction companies. Even though the construction specific capabilities are going to be limited as part of their bundle. For example, let's say the comparable product here are going to be Oracle Cloud ERP or Microsoft Dynamics 365 F&O. When you look at their penetration, Oracle is going to have deeper capabilities or deeper last mile capabilities for the construction companies. SAP S4 HANA is not going to be as deep with the construction companies, but they are going to have different best of breed architecture for construction companies. It's just that those are not going to be flavored for construction. The financial traceability and control, again, if you're a public company, then SAP S4 HANA is probably going to have one of the best model for your financial traceability, auditability, as well as control. The limitations to keep in mind is the weak operational capabilities for the cloud, limited pre-baked integration, as well as overwhelming for smaller organizations. So those are some of the limitations in that summary. Number 7 on our list is Sage Intacct. And Sage Intacct is slightly more horizontal product, even though Sage Intacct is going to have a lot more penetration in the construction spaces. And the only reason for that is Sage as a company has always had much deeper penetration in the construction space because of their other products, the one that we are going to review next, which is your Sage 300 CRE. So Sage Intacct is slightly more cloud native product, and they are going to be much superior overall from the technology perspective. They might not have as deep capabilities as you may have found in the legacy Sage products, but they are going to have much bigger ecosystem for the construction companies in general. So the strengths to keep in mind from the Sage Intacct perspective is it is designed for multi-entity consolidation, which is one of the strengths of the Sage Intacct product in general. For the construction companies, you are going to have a lot more entities, so that's a huge plus for Sage Intacct. The financial compliance or the accounting compliance, if you are going to be a publicly traded company or audit ready company, the way their security model is designed, it's one of the best. And that is something that you need to keep in mind. And then the ecosystem with the construction as well as the best of breed add-ons, they are going to be really prevalent with Sage Intacct. The limitations to keep in mind is they are weaker in the core operational capabilities compared to some of the other products on this list. Multi-entity pricing may be more expensive and limited capabilities with union reporting. Most construction companies are probably going to require that as well. So that's going to be a huge negative for Sage Intacct. So that's number 7. Number 6 on our list is Sage 300 CRE. Sage 300 CRE is a legacy product, but it was very well penetrated, adopted. It's going to have much richer capabilities from the construction real estate perspective. The strengths to keep in mind from the Sage 300 CRE perspective is core operational capabilities, one of the largest market share in the construction space, and some union reporting capabilities are going to be pre-baked. The limitations to keep in mind is technology is going to be the biggest drawback for Sage 300 CRE product. Not meant to be for the enterprises, and data and estimation product available through Deltek for GovCon might not be available. So for example, Deltek has a lot more product for the estimation, CPQ, etc. And if you need that, then you either need to rely on Deltek or you need to acquire another CPQ product, etc. So those data-centric offerings are probably not going to be available here. So that's going to be another negative. So that's number 6. Number 5 on our list is Acumatica. And Acumatica is ideal for smaller construction companies with complex business models. So for example, if you're a construction company and you also have distribution, field service, e-com centric business models, but globally you are not as complex, for those companies, Acumatica could be a great fit. Some of the strengths to keep in mind is the construction specific capabilities. So even though they have the construction add-on, and sometimes the ownership of that add-on might be a challenge to understand just because Acumatica is selling that on their papers, but the add-on was designed by a third party. I don't know where they are overall with their add-on at this point of time, whether Acumatica owns that or not. There are some layers that you need to pay attention to how that add-on is structured. So there might be some risks from the vendor perspective, but overall from the product alignment perspective, the add-on is very well designed. The consumption-based pricing is friendly for seasonal businesses, and in general, the construction businesses are very seasonal in nature. So that's going to be a huge plus in terms of some of the savings from the licensing pricing perspective. And if you are going to have diverse businesses and you are keeping all of those in the same product, that's going to be another plus. Limitations to keep in mind is limited global capabilities. The product model itself is not designed for very global footprint. The way the data sharing works, inside the product, it's not as great fit for those global install bases. The construction, again, the add-on is going to have a little bit of risk there with that third-party involvement. So that's going to be another drawback. And then not necessarily fit for the larger construction companies. So that's number 5. Number 4 on our list is IFS. In IFS, compared to the other products that we have reviewed so far, is going to be relevant for very large construction companies. In general, it's proven with those large upper mid-market centric companies, especially the companies that are going to be very heavy on the asset management or in the field services process. And if you're looking for those enterprise grade capabilities for field service as well as for EAM, then IFS is going to be a great fit. Some of these trends to keep in mind is suitable for industries with intertwined EAM as well as field service workflows, proven among large construction companies. Again, IFS is probably going to have the same number of logos as Oracle. SAP is going to have that as well, but their operational install base is not going to be as much as IFS Oracle, the way the product is going to be used. So IFS is going to have a little bit of lead in the construction space. And then the technology is very cloud native as well. The limitations to keep in mind from the IFS perspective: overwhelming for SMBs, North American presence growing but limited compared to others, and not as diverse. So that's number 4. Number 3 on our list is Microsoft Dynamics 365 F&O. And this is ideal for global construction companies, very similar to SAP S4HANA, very similar product. It's just that Microsoft Dynamics is going to be slightly friendlier for project-centric operations. In general, the way the project model is designed, it's friendlier for those organizations. That's why Microsoft Dynamics 365 F&O is a lot more used in construction-centric companies, where you are going to have a lot more approval flows. They are going to be the mix of the financial as well as the operational processes. If the project is pure play financial, then some of the other products, for example, let's say if you go to Infor LN, they might be okay in those processes, but when you get into the real operational issues where some of these the tasks or the projects may not be financial in nature, sometimes managing those could be a challenge in a lot of these products. That's where Microsoft Dynamics is going to be slightly more fluid because they are used in settings where companies may not necessarily require the financial dependencies for the project. Some other strengths to keep in mind is operationally richest cloud product for large, complex businesses. Cloud native architecture technology is great, and the common data model is another plus with Microsoft Dynamics 365 F&O, especially the way they are sharing data among their products. That's a huge plus for Microsoft. Limitations to keep in mind is financial traceability and audit support might not be as strong, at least the way people might be used to from the product perspective. If they are used to SAP Oracle, sometimes they might not like the way Microsoft look and feel works from the financial traceability and audit support perspective. So that's going to be a little bit of negative. And then it's not as proven with large workloads as your SAP Oracle. So that's going to be another limitation. And then the construction specific last mile capabilities compliance might be limited. So that's going to be another limitation that you need to keep in mind. That's number 3. Number 2 on our list is Oracle Cloud ERP. Oracle Cloud ERP is a very similar product as SAP S4HANA. Microsoft Dynamics 365 F&O takes very platform-centric approach for design for very global footprint companies, where companies are trying to consolidate many different entities in one system. In those cases, Oracle Cloud ERP is going to be a great fit. Only reason why Oracle Cloud ERP is slightly ahead on this list is because Oracle does have very deep last mile capabilities for construction centric businesses that might not be available through Microsoft Dynamics 365 FNO or SAP. With those, you need to rely, on third party. Again, there's nothing against third party products, but generally, when the code is going to be owned by OEM, supported by OEM, you just don't have as much vendor risk. So that's the only thing. But again, depending upon what you care for, both of these approaches could be a great fit. The strengths to keep in mind from Oracle Cloud ERP perspective is proven among construction companies, as well as the ecosystem is going to be much richer in the Oracle space. Limitations to keep in mind is the last mile capabilities are limited for construction companies compared to specific software, overwhelming for SMB construction companies, as well as it's probably going to be expensive. So those are some of the limitations to keep in mind, and that's number 2. Number 1 on our list is Deltek. And Deltek is ideal for construction, architecture, engineering firms, as well as government contractors. Now, the strengths to keep in mind from Deltek's perspective is some of the products Deltek has in their portfolio. They are very well designed for government contractors. They are going to have very unique data set that is not going to be available through any other ERP vendors in general. Things such as your DACA compliance are going to be far deeper with Deltek. They are going to be built and wired as part of the whole product model. So that's a huge alignment, and that's why Deltek does really well in the construction space. Multi-entity capabilities are built as part of the product, and they have many different products. And again, you need to review which product is going to be right fit for you. But here we are sort of bucketing Deltek, under one bucket, and the reason for that is just to simplify. But that is not to say that every product that they have in their portfolio are going to be right fit for you. And sometimes these vendors have way too many products. So if we analyze just those products, their market share may not be as strong, and then we might rank them as number 10 when they are really good products. Sometimes it becomes very tricky when you look at these rankings as well as research. But for the most part, Deltek is a great fit for the construction companies because of the product alignment, and majority of the products are going to have those multi-entity capabilities, and which is going to be very critical for construction-centric companies. Large market share among construction companies, one of the largest. Again, how much is that going to be the product share, the product that you might be reviewing? You need to do your own research to find that out. Limitations to keep in mind is not as diverse. Talent and ecosystem is going to be limited as well, and may not be best fit for companies with evolving business models through active M&A. So that's going to be a little negative with Deltek, and that's number 1. If you enjoyed this video, we are going to include a link to a report that is going to have much deeper analysis. It's also going to talk about a lot more variables. In general, the intent of these videos is to provide you just the sneak peek. It's not meant to be a detailed research. So if you want to be informed with your decision making, if you want to read the fine prints, you might want to download the report. That's where we provide a lot more details in terms of how to read the quadrants, what are the variables used, how our methodology work, and how you can align this methodology to your own research, and which particular products are going to be great fits. So again, we are going to have the QR code as well as link included as part of this video. This research is also included as part of our digital transformation report, which is the flagship report for us. So we are going to link that as well. So you might want to check that out. We publish these videos on a weekly basis, so you might want to hit the subscribe button. And if you prefer audio form, this is also available on major podcasting channels. So check out there and subscribe if you like. On that note, thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the WBS Podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. For more information on growth strategies for SMBs using ERP and digital transformation, check out our community at WBS.rocks. We'll see you next time.